entrepreneurs have a unique opportunity here to lead. There are a lack of many things, but there's no lack of opportunities to be a leader at this time.
So as usual, we are taking trips around Asia Pacific, listening to stories of our fellow members and learning from their life stories of past and also present. Hi, my name is Raymond from EO Malaysia, and I'm your host for the EO APAC podcast named Sustaining APAC. Thank you for joining me once again as we talk to EO members across APAC in their stories of how they're getting through these times. Are they using specific techniques to get through? Are they innovating? How are they getting through and leading through this crisis? So in trying times, it is very easy to be engulfed in a lot of this gloom, right? But are there techniques, are there specific things that people or EO members are using across APAC to get through these times? Are there some lessons that we can all learn from each other to help each other to get through this? Today, I will be talking to somebody in the Philippines. So we're going to be spending some time there today and talking to a certified EOS implementer. She has been a member for the last 5 years, Haraya del Rosario. Or we all love to know her as Ia. So she's a prime mover of creative process outsourcing in the Philippines. Her business, Straight Arrow, is a creative process outsourcing company that functions as an extension of digital agencies and corporate marketing teams in the US, UK, and also Australia. But that's not the only thing that she does. So I'm very amazed by her energy and her time that she takes out to do so many things. Right? She's not only an entrepreneur, she works with leadership teams all across Southeast Asia. And as a certified implementer of the entrepreneurial operating system, that is how she has helped many other businesses around the region. Hi, Ia.
Hi, Raymond. Good morning.
Good morning, Ia. How are you doing?
Very good, as well as can be.
So maybe for our listeners, Ia, that may not know you, could you maybe just share a little bit about yourself, other than what I've just shared?
Sure. So I'm a reluctant entrepreneur. I started my entrepreneurial journey about 10 years ago, and about 5 years ago became part of EO, like you said. Um, I my passion is in building leadership teams.
Mm-hmm.
So the past 3 years has really been a focus on helping leadership teams become their best by sharing with them some of the tools that we use in EOS. I'm a mom. I have 5 kids. We're a blended family, and
Wow.
so it's been a crazy time for me. Unfortunately, my youngest daughter has not been able to come home. She's 14 years old and she's in Germany at the moment.
Oh
So
dear.
I'm a little anxious, but we focus on what we want, right? So there, just like fellow entrepreneurs, making the
Yeah.
best of every day, making every day just better than the day before.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you how is COVID affecting you? So maybe you can elaborate about, what has that how has that been for you?
So the impact of COVID-19 on my life has been both encompassing, has been very holistic across all the aspects of my life, and has been very significant. I was in London when I heard about the pandemic, and I had to cancel. I was there on a business development roadshow, and I was about halfway into my roadshow, and I had to cancel the second half, which was the US part, because coming from Europe and London, I couldn't fly into the US. So my industry was given 24 hours to set up a work from home protocol. In
Wow.
my business, we have about 250 creatives. So we're using iMacs and some laptops, but majority are, the bigger units. And we had to send them home with no assurance that will be given um, permission by our clients to be able to work from home. So we were making decisions like that. So all of
Mm.
that was happening on a community side. The leadership teams that I work with, some of them have been, needing help. What do we do? Which tools do we use?
Yeah.
A few of them have been needing my time for opportunities like, we've never seen so much demand. What do we do? And then personally, just the struggle of knowing that my youngest daughter is not home.
Mm.
I've been trying to, I think the biggest impact of the crisis for me was a challenge to really practice what I preach of focus. It's hard to focus when you're anxious, when you're afraid, when you're angry, right?
Yeah.
So I think at where I'm at today, the biggest impact of COVID-19 was now making me really disciplined and really conscious about the things that I do every day, and reminding my team and the leadership teams that I work with, to really take control of our minds and our time, our focus.
Mm. So EOS, right? So we know it stands for Entrepreneur Operating System. Can you maybe share with us a little bit about what EOS is?
Sure. So EOS is a complete set of very simple concepts and practical tools that have been tested by many, many businesses over time to get what they want out of their businesses. It's been created by a guy named Gino Wickman, who's
Mm-hmm.
a lifelong entrepreneur. And what he's discovered is that the difference between majority of very frustrated entrepreneurs who don't get what they want out of their business and the ones that have great businesses and are having fun with their businesses is being great at six things we call six key components,
Mm-hmm.
these aspects of their business, really being strong at those. So once he discovered that, he put together tools to help leadership teams make those six components strong.
Mm.
So that's what it is. It's a simple set of concepts and set of practical tools to help leadership teams become their very best at being leadership teams, strengthening the six key components, and as a result, getting what they want out of their businesses.
So you've been an EOS implementer for how long now?
For 3
Yeah,
years.
for 3 years. So during these times of crisis, and you mentioned that in your story earlier about really understanding what tools we possess and how it's a test, right? It's a test of how do I then now use these tools in my own personal life. So how has EOS, like you mentioned, the six principles, how has that helped you in these times?
It has helped me focus and it has helped me execute.
Mm.
Right? And it's the same thing when I talk to leadership teams. I remind them that, there are these tools. So as an example, when we're in crisis, whether this crisis is affecting us negatively or it's opened some new opportunities for our business, we know that in crisis mode, we need to act fast. So
Mm.
in many businesses, we find we don't have all of the steps for decision making that's available in business as usual mode, because a lot of the things that we see now, a lot of things that are happening are new, they're unprecedented.
Yeah, yeah.
So I ask leadership teams and I ask my own team to start with core values. Core values define who we are, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
we discover who we really are. What are the guiding principles that dictate our decisions and the culture in our company? So what I've done in my company, for example, is I went through our core values. We're a team of great people. What does that mean in this context, right? It
Mm-hmm.
means that we can be relied on by our team members. When we say we do it, we're going to do it. And we are ready to help other people. So team of great people, do the right thing. We innovate to create value. So we don't focus on the challenges or the difficulty. We find what needs to be done and we help create solutions, right? We innovate and then we're passionate about who we are. What does that mean? We care about who we are, about each other. So we stay safe.
Mm-hmm.
We look for opportunities because we want to help our clients, and that's really the only way we can help ourselves. So we contextualize that so that it's clear to everyone in the company when there's a decision to be made, how to decide. If we go through the normal process of getting approvals, you might decide too late.
Yeah.
So core values come alive, right? Core focus comes alive. In our company, for example, our purpose is, we call it create for the world. We want to become the creative muscle for the clients that we support. They're the think tank.
Mm-hmm.
We're the muscle to execute, right? So how do we live that core focus in these times, right? We go back to our clients and say, okay, in this crazy situation, what are you trying to create? How can we help you? Some of our clients who didn't want to go into e-commerce because they didn't need to or they weren't ready for it, all of a sudden need to get quickly into an e-commerce platform because there's no other way for them to continue operating offline. So there's an opportunity to help. Let's create for the world. How do we create for the world during these times? So those kinds of things. There are a lot of tools that we can use just to help us, to help us act during this time, during this crisis period.
And while you're doing this and managing your teams, and I'm sure it's a tough situation to be in, right? Having to make quick decisions, and I hear from what you're saying that today's times is really about speed. We got to forget about the processes a little bit. We got to tweak it into something that we need to act fast. Right? Is that one of the things that you're trying to say?
Right. You need to act fast. You need to have a certain guiding mechanism. But perfect is the enemy of done. Now is not the time to wait for perfect before you start to move.
Yeah. So while you're managing this, you are also helping other leadership teams in your passion work. What are some of the other challenges or the biggest challenges that other leadership teams are going through?
So the first one is where do we start? Right? Everything is breaking at the same time. Where do we start? So there's a few tools that I go back on and work with them. And one of those tools we call the accountability chart. EOS is not the only operating system. There's other operating systems out there. So when I say accountability chart, and our EO brothers and sisters who are listening are not on EOS, it's okay. Whatever operating system process you're using, you've got to have a tool there that helps you structure your business, right? In EOS, this tool is called the accountability chart. And what it does is to help you create those seats, identify the functions that you need to get done in your organization to move your organization forward. So usually when we set up in business as usual mode, when we build this accountability chart, we start with what do we want to accomplish in the next year, right? And what are the functions that we need? What are the seats that we need to be able to get those goals done, to achieve those things? So we have a sales function, and these are the 5 accountabilities. That's why it's an accountability chart. We identify what accountabilities are. That we have an operations function, a finance function. It gets split as the business specializes and as the business grows. But it's forward looking, right? It's a year from now. During times of crisis, we do what we call a reverse accountability chart. So we imagine that everybody's fired, nobody has a seat in this company. We look at this crisis situation, and within the context of our business, what are the functions that we need to have? So when we do that, and we don't think of people, We just think about the situation, and our planning horizon is maybe 1 quarter versus 1 year,
Yeah.
right? We're very, very focused. We realize that there are some seats that we have in business as usual mode that don't exist within this crisis situation. As an example, in my own company, we have a recruitment function, but we know we don't want to bring in new people into the company in the next quarter, right? It's just
Yeah.
irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have a recruitment seat in the reverse accountability chart. On the other hand, we need a seat called like a business continuity planning team, because what we realize is with all 250 team members working from home,
Mm-hmm.
we have 250 risk endpoints, right? If somebody's house gets broken into, knock on wood, right? That's a risky situation out there. If somebody is living close to an area where there might be some unrest because they're not getting, what they need in terms of government support, that's a risk endpoint there. We didn't have that before. We had a disaster recovery site, and we knew if there was an earthquake, critical seats just moved to that disaster recovery site 2 hours north.
Yeah.
So we had to create a team that would look into the 250 risk endpoints and help these team members come up with a personal safety plan. So that's a seat right there. So we create that reverse accountability chart for the seats that you need just within crisis mode. Suspend the seats that you don't need. Then look at your people, your best people, and put the right people in the right seat. It's very possible that your best recruitment manager, your best technology innovations person may not have a seat in this situation, right? So then you need to make the tough decision. But that's an example of how you can use the tool. Does that make sense?
I love the concept of the reverse accountability tool. But what if some employees don't want to play ball, right? They don't want to be in that accountability seat. They don't want to, I guess, maybe not to lay blame, but maybe they're just engulfed in fear or, Well, how do we deal with them?
Okay, so that's called an issue, and we'll solve that issue. So I'll premise that with, before we do any of these, we really need to clarify what the core values are and what the core focus is, and also provide a same page, what we call get everybody on the same page as to the issue that we're dealing with, so people understand how dire, if the situation is dire, or how big the opportunity is if this is open doors to opportunity. So get on the same page as to the issue, and then review who you are. Remember your core values, contextualize it, and then your core focus, right? And then identify the priorities, in which case, with very little information, that could just be survival, right? And then do the accountability chart and put the right people in the right seat. Now, if you identify some people who you think are right for that seat, but like you said, they just don't want to, they're not in that space, they're panicked, or then you're going to need to make a tough decision, and that could be just to suspend that seat. We find that's hard, right? But EOS is around making decisions for the greater good. So this is the challenge when you're using tools. It can be EOS, it can be other operating systems, but when you use the tools, the decision becomes very, very clear. Your role as a leader is to make that call, right? It can be risky for your organization if you have somebody in a seat that is not a right seat person, which means they don't GWC, they don't get it, they don't get the seat, they don't want the seat, or they don't have the capacity to deliver on that seat because themselves, they're reacting to fear. So if they don't want the seat, we find the next best person, and their seats are offline, they're suspended for now. This is the reverse accountability chart is as fluid, as a situation. You can do it every week, depending on how fast you need to react. You can do it every month. You can put seats online, back online as the need arises for it.
GWC. Wow, another thing that I love. Get it, want it, or have the capacity to do so. So have
right?
you had to make tough decisions to lay anybody off during this time because they just
Uh,
didn't want the seat, or suspend it? Do you mean suspend means just I don't need you for now? Is that
yes,
what you
so
mean? Yeah.
I have. As soon as we heard the announcement,
Mm,
right, we went to survivor mode, which means any effort that is not critical or not revenue generating is
mm,
we suspended that. So either the full seat is suspended, like recruitment
yeah.
suspended, um, or the hours are reduced. I only need
Mm,
you for half a day to drive around, for example, then
yeah.
it's half a day. I think initially, within the first week of this, we've suspended about 20% of our team members.
Mm,
And then over the weeks, we've started to put some seats online. I think at the moment, we've probably still suspended about um, less than 10 seats are still suspended.
mm-hmm,
Sorry, less than 10% of seats are still suspended
mm,
or reduced work hours. So yeah, very painful. But um, there are in at least in Asia, I don't know in other countries, usually there are some mechanisms that delays the financial impact, like you can use your vacation leaves, you can use your sick leaves. We've done that, we've employed all that. I've also seen, and this has been very touching, a couple of our leaders volunteered to give back portions of their salaries to the company. Like,
mm,
can you reduce my pay? Asking me permission. I'm like, wow, can you reduce it by 10% or 20%? I'm like, sure, please use your leave. No, don't use my leaves. Let let the company use that resource for, however it needs it during this time. And
mm.
thank you for making me, you know, I'm very happy to be part of this company. So there's leaders like that step up as well.
I guess it goes back down to what you say is the values, right? I think if we had chosen the right people to be part of this with the same values, that is where it will pay off in times like this. And I've seen that also in
Right.
my companies, right? I make very tough announcements, uh, thinking that, okay, everyone's not going to get it. Everyone doesn't know, everyone doesn't understand, but only to be surprised that many people actually come back and they do understand. And they actually
Right.
say that, you know what, boss, we understand, we know what you are going through as well. How can we help? Right. So I think I feel you, and it resonates with me in what you say with regards to the values. Right. So it's really amazing. So yeah. So I guess my final question for you is this, and I just wanted to, it just reminded me, right? So yeah, me and you was spending time in Amsterdam just
Amsterdam.
just a month ago, if you remember, right? We were in Amsterdam for a week, and
Right.
immediately when we went back to our countries, boom, everything just started to unravel,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and
that
it
that
was
that was because of that trip that I wasn't able to go back to the U.S. because President Trump banned
yeah,
foreigners who were not right who
yeah,
come from
yeah,
Europe.
correct, yeah. So I guess the final question, and maybe it's something that you've already said previously, but so what is this technique that you have, or what is, whether it's EOS or just your own personal opinion, how can we all as entrepreneurs respond faster to this change now?
I think two things. So one is just going back to our why as
Mm,
a as an entrepreneur, and many times that reflects onto our business. I think that is a guiding system, as it were, to focus our attention. So, like I shared a while ago, our company's core purpose is to create for the world, right? So, even within this crisis, instead of continuing to innovate products and things like that, we go back to our core focus and say, look, if we want to be somebody's creative muscle, what we need to do is find out what they need the muscle for during these times. A lot of
mm,
them need to get on e-commerce. We can help them, right? We have the capacity for that. So I think really look into your core focus and how can you be relevant in the world today following that core focus. Your messaging will need to change. Like you go to your website, it's maybe very marketing. Our website, we change it to, we know you're getting affected by this, either in a good way or in a positive way, and you probably have a short window of time to act. How can we help? That's the messaging, right? Go back
Yeah.
into your core values, remember who you are, and remind your people who you are as a company. And instead of trying to micromanage, nobody has the time to do that, right? Like help them remember who you are so you can make decisions based on that. And then the second thing is, in terms of general tool, is forget BAU. We're not in BAU. Your time, I think we should really look at our time horizon, right? In our case, the 1 year plan. So if we're looking at 1 year, that's our long term. Now our long term is 90 days. And our 90 days is a week. So what we used to track on a weekly basis, we're tracking on a daily basis. What used to be our quarter priorities are weekly priorities. So to be able to act fast, the time horizon needs to be shorter, right? So you need to do more. And what is if you want to go, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think this situation, we need to go far together to be able to do all the things that need to get done in this short horizon. So we shouldn't look at carrying things that we used to do in BAU to this scenario, and instead take a look at, like, clean slate, what needs to be done today, and act fast. And I think entrepreneurs have a unique opportunity here to lead. There are a lack of many things, but there's no lack of opportunities to be a leader at this time.
Thank you. And my biggest take home from this last sentence that you said is really about, we need to ask ourselves, what do people need now, right? Though it's not really about what we want to give, but it's whether what we want to give is what they need. And if we're going to change fast, we got to really, as a business, think about how are they affected, and what do people need right now. So thank you for that reminder and that message, Iya. So thank you once again, Iya. I resonate with you. I know you're going through difficult times, just like every one of us. But thank you for remaining positive. Thank you for sharing with us all those tools that has helped you, the reverse accountability, GWS, and just how do we respond to change. So thanks so much, Iya, for coming on this call with me today.
You're very welcome, and thank you for inviting me. Have a great opportunity to lead. I'm sending positive energy and love your way. Let's light up the world as entrepreneurs in EO.
Awesome. So everybody, that's it for today's episode. Join me for the next one, and do subscribe and share with all your EO peers. If there's anything that can help them at this point of time, is maybe just a message. So have a great EO APAC day, and remember, we are all in this together. Bye-bye.